And welcome back to In the Cage with Bards here on nextsportstar.com. And joining me now, I have the privilege of speaking to the man who will be taking on Matt Brown next Saturday night at UFC on Fox 7. And he's the pride of Lethbridge, Alberta, none other than the young gun himself, Jordan Meehan, back on the program. How you doing, Jordan?
Oh, I'm doing great. Just at the gym, about to train. How about you guys? How you doing?
Well, funny you should ask. We are not doing well. We talked a bit about it before we went on air, but I'm here in Toronto, Ontario, and it's freaking snowing.
Oh, that's crap. That's no good.
I'm slowly being convinced for the first time in my life that I should move to Alberta. What do you think?
Well, we got the Chinooks that'll help out, so that's a good thing. But it's with windy.
Well, I don't have to shovel wind, Jordan. All right, so let's talk about your last fight with Dan Miller. You showed a lot of composure in that fight for such a young guy. I know you've been around the sport for a long time, but still a really young guy. But not only just in the fight I'm talking, but afterwards as well. There wasn't an over-the-top kind of celebration or anything you might expect from a guy who just won his first UFC fight.
Yeah, I've definitely been there before, freaking out after fights and jumping up and down and been super excited. But that's just the way I've been feeling lately, and I've just been kind of trying to finish guys as much as I can, and I'm still kind of in that zone of finishing a fight. So I haven't really gotten out of it until I'm usually back in the in the dressing room later, and then it really hits me and it feels good.
Right on. And early in that fight, he had you locked in an arm bar. Looked like he was really cranking on your right arm there. It looked like you weren't able to use the arm advantage for a while afterwards. How tight was that arm bar, and how much damage did it do?
It was super tight, but it didn't really do any damage. I didn't even notice it in the fight. But afterwards, I got off the plane. It kind of got a little bit swollen, and it was a little tender for like 2 days. But no, it's good. It's good now.
All right, good. Glad to hear. You avoided going to the ground with him after that, except for the finish where you ground and pounded him out, obviously. Did you follow him to the mat at that point because you sensed the fight was close to being stopped?
Oh, definitely, yeah. The first time I dropped him with a left straight, he kind of recovered pretty quick, and I seen his legs come up for his guard, and then I backed up. I knew he wasn't completely done, and then the next time I put him down, he was really hurt, I could tell, and he was bleeding pretty bad, so I just kept the pressure on him and kept throwing hard.
And was there any hesitation in taking a high-level fight against an opponent like Matt Brown so soon after the Miller fight?
No. My dad, he called me and let me know that there was an injury, or there was Dan Hardy couldn't compete. So right. I thought it was a good opportunity to jump at, and I was healthy and ready to go. So no, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, you're definitely no stranger to taking a lot of fights in a year. Is that just a product of your training, or are you just young and full of piss and vinegar, as they say? But you do fight a lot, it seems, especially in an era where guys seem like they're lucky to fight 3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah, no, totally. And I've had both. I've had times where you're taking a lot of time off in between fights, and there's advantages to that and disadvantages, and I've definitely done before, fighting lots in a year, like you said, and I think there's advantages and disadvantages to that. But as far as right now, for me, I figured, why not? Let's jump on it, because it seems like in the UFC, sometimes guys don't get to fight as much as they can, and injuries happen a lot too. Training's really hard. You're breaking your body down all the time, and things are going to happen. So our philosophy in Lethbridge and at our gym here has always been, if you're healthy, try and get in there as much as you can, because that's what it's about is the fighting, and that's the game that we're in. Is just the fight game. So I want to compete and fight as much as I can.
Is it also kind of a sense of striking while the iron is hot? Because, you came in with kind of a lot of hype, and you showed that it was completely deserved and put away an experienced veteran like Dan Miller. So is it important to you to carry on that momentum as quickly as possible?
I haven't really looked at it like that, but I just think I'm just more thinking about my health and how I feel more than being on like a streak or anything. But he's on a 4-fight win streak himself, so he's held himself. So I think it'll make for an interesting fight. We're both in the winning mind state and ready for a war, I think.
Yeah, Matt Brown really riding a great wave of momentum right now. Won his last 4, he's won his last 5 or 6, I think. Definitely an argument to be made that he's the hottest fighter in the UFC right now. Is that momentum that he's riding, is that a concern for you at all?
I guess, yeah. It's if you're fighting a guy that's like 0-4 in his last 4, then I think you can take that in consideration. But I guess he'd be just as hungry because he wants that win. But yeah, it's definitely an aspect that you have to look at. But I'm more focusing on what I'm doing and my training and my health, and then when we get into the cage, it's more about what I'm going to do to him and not what he's going to do to me.
Mm-hmm. And Brown's mainly known for his crowd-pleasing, brawling style. Is the key to beating someone like that being more technical than they are?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think you can, pick him away a little bit. Go for some takedowns, do some. He's got a few losses on the ground, so I think that's definitely an aspect that I could take advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, you're right. He has a crazy style and super exciting. I've been watching him for a while on Ultimate Fighter and after, and I'm a big fan of his. So, to entertain for the fans is a big part of my career as well. So,
yeah, this is definitely a fight that could be an early contender for fight of the night, depending how it plays out. If it plays out that it becomes a brawl on the feet, are you willing to engage in a brawl with Matt Brown?
Yeah, if I can, stay healthy in the fight. If I get hurt at all, then obviously I'm going to change my tactics. But if I really feel like I'm taking a lot of damage, then obviously I'll change it up. But as far as like your career and longevity goes, if you're taking a ton of beatings, going 15 minutes every fight and going through a war, you might not be able to fight as much as you'd like. So you got to be smart about what you're doing in there.
Absolutely. And what do you think beating a guy like Matt Brown, who, like you say, has been with the company for a while and riding such momentum, what does that do for your career?
It does nothing but good things, and that's what winning does. It just takes care of all the good things. And I think the same with my win over Dan Miller. It was nothing but a good thing because he's super experienced and got a lot of wins in the UFC and fought all the top guys. So a win over Matt Brown would do the same. I think it's just a big thing for me.
Excellent. Well, I hesitate to bring this up, but I think that Matt Brown does own one advantage over you. There's a YouTube video of Matt Brown playing Rock Band with Hayato Mock Sakurai, and Sakurai is belting out some No Doubt. Have you ever done anything that cool?
No, not that cool, obviously. That's the pinnacle of coolness.
I thought so. That's why I hesitated to bring it up. But yeah, that pretty much shatters all the cool barriers. But you've become a fast favorite of Dana White's. I was reading a quote today, actually, where Dana said, we were very impressed with his performance. That's why when the Hardy-Brown fight fell apart, we put him in. We replaced him because we were very blown away by his last fight. We like this kid. So how does that feel to get that kind of vote of confidence from the boss?
Oh, yeah, it feels fantastic. Got to keep winning to keep that... to keep those good praises coming, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep winning.
Absolutely, and I'm not sure if you heard about this, but we experienced a tragedy in MMA last weekend. One of Jeff Josselin's students, Pablo Elochukwu, died after competing in an unregulated MMA event last weekend in Michigan. We've talked about your experience in the score fighting series here in Ontario and how the Ontario Athletic Commission makes it too expensive to run any small shows here, which necessitates people from gyms like Josselin's having to go to these unregulated fights in Michigan. Should this act as a wake-up call to the OAC to lower their fees so the Ontario fighters can compete in their own province in a regulated environment?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's, the more opportunities you can get to compete and to have a safe environment and have governing bodies watching over everything, I think is a good thing. And yeah, I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't, have more shows and more, all over Canada, not just in Ontario, but just, everywhere, and so people can, get their experience and not have to do anything that's dangerous and bad for your health. And sad to hear that.
Yeah, well said. Well, you started at the same time as Rory McDonald. Your first fight was against each other. I know you've been asked it a million times, so I'm not going to ask if you're interested in another go-around with Rory, but it was just announced that Rory McDonald will be taking on Jake Ellenberger later on. Who takes that fight, in your opinion?
I think Rory will probably take that one. I think Ellenberger's got some explosiveness, and he could definitely hurt Rory, maybe with some strikes. But I think overall, in the later rounds, I think Rory's probably going to take it.
All right, sounds good. Looking forward to that, and looking forward to you taking on Matt Brown as well. Putting you on the spot, how does your fight with Matt Brown end?
The crowd is going to be on their feet. I know that, and I know my hand's going to be raised. That's how it's going to end. Pretty cliche of me, but that's the way it
is. There you have it. Well, Jordan, thanks so much for stopping by and classing up my program today. It's always a pleasure to speak with you. Tell the people where they can find you on the Twitter, the Facebook, any other social media things you got going on, and any other thank yous or shout outs you want to give. This is your time.
Yeah, cool. JordanMeehan.ca is my website, and I got all my sponsors and everybody that supports me on there. So, check out all their links and sponsor that and support them because, they've done so much for me. And we're at Fighting Meehan's on Twitter. And I got a Facebook fan page as well that you can like and check out. And it's got all the news on there of pictures and different things that we're doing. And so, yeah, check out all that. And yeah, thanks for the time.
Well, thank you, my friend. Jordan Meehan here on In the Cage with Bards, and we'll be back with more MMA action right after this.
Yes, boy, I go out and do something.
Sandy Annunziata played and now broadcasts on The Edge, and he brings his extensive pro football insight to you daily from 3 to 4 p.m. as he goes over the line right here on NSS.
Don't leave your financial and retirement success to chance. By working with the best advisors in the industry, you can reach